Feedback time. Hey, so we're doing a little bit of catch up, not the condiment. We're doing a little bit of catch up on some still life feedback that I think is properly due now. We're gonna look at the brushes work, and I'm gonna run through the class um, examples that were turned in here, and there are some really fantastic ones. Some of you guys are really pushing some of the boundaries of thinking about the layering and the opacities and different brush elements, how they create texture, pattern, repetition, and so on, or how to actually use a brush in a way that helps assist us through this. And this is going to be good for some of you who felt like you were struggling. Um, and, don't use this as a moment of shame because I think it should be more of a moment of inspiration and insight. So we're gonna take a look through a couple pieces here. I'll chat about them roughly. I think one of the most important parts of this experience is this whacked my microphone. Sorry if that sounded awful. Is to just at least see what some of your peers are up to and how some of your peers are approaching these challenges and these problems. I like to call them problems because it kind of is about a lot of design and a lot of illustration is about solving a problem. I need to make something. How do I tackle it? I need to recreate something. What's my best approach? Um, and then I think it would also be a time where some of you might go like, oh, yeah, I did not really jam an effort into this. And there will be some of you who are like, man, I worked on that for like 2 days. I know you said only 15 minutes each, but like I tried so hard. And it's fine. It's all part of the learning process. So we're gonna jump into looking at this first piece, this cactus and the earring, super lovely, and a really great exploration and approach to layering and brush stroke investigation. What does this brush stroke look like? And sometimes you might do a brush stroke and be like, yeah, that's not working. So then you hit undo or you delete it or whatever, and then you move on to the next one. And I feel like some of these, and perhaps this one is a good example where there was a little bit of that kind of digging around happening before actual commitment to things. And that's a really good glimpse at what design and the approach to it should look like. If we get into this cactus and break it down, like there is a ton going on. If I hit, oh, I got to unlock. I got to unlock layers, don't I? Do I? Oh, maybe I don't. That's weird. It's not showing me. It's not showing me everything. Well, okay, it's fine. I expected to see more paths. No big deal. Um, Quite a bit of layerings happening with the green part of the cactus, quite a bit of layerings happening with like the dirt or the soil. And then it's almost like the approach to this is starting from a background to a foreground perspective. And that's a really interesting way to think about the way that we might draw and create some of these images, is thinking about establishing a background and the materials and the textures and the patterns, and then like kind of working closer to the camera, which is part of what the artist has to think about is what's my perspective? What's the framing? What's the composition of this? And it's thinking about a camera. Like, we're up close into this cactus. This cactus might have been, 3 feet away while trying to study and draw it. But this artist in particular said, here's my framing. This is where I want my camera to be. So even in an area of illustration, it's kind of interesting to think about that world of the camera. If we move over to the next one, um, quite a bit of texture happening here, quite a bit of attention to illumination, shadow, the shimmer, reflection. But then like the magic is going on here with the strokes that are in these feathers. And that's just also thinking about brushes, maybe an approach to um, pressure sensitivity if you've got a tablet. Hope you do. And then opacity and sort of a continual layering on top of things. So really lovely work here. This one's fun. And I love the fact that you were actually thinking about a background, and the background doesn't have to be literal. It can be, I mean, I would call this explosive. It's very textural and I think appropriate, particularly for the salt lamp. You know, for the pumpkin, it's Halloween and there's like magic and chaos going on. I could accept that. I would love to see you maybe try a different approach for one that you have applied for the other one. I don't know. But you're layering and all the different brush applications, moving again from background to foreground. You're thinking about, you know, shadow, you're thinking about light source, you're thinking about little highlights and stuff. That's fantastic. Now we're going to look at the water bottle, and then a plant. I mean, it's definitely a flower, but I'm struggling a little bit with understanding exactly what's going on there. But I know the water bottle, I can identify that. So what if we applied some of these ideas that we were just talking about of thinking of background to foreground? First of all, this could definitely use some background work to help make that bottle stand out. Everything has a white background. So if you were to, oh man, am I gonna do this? I guess I'm probably gonna do this. I'll make a layer and put it behind. And I'll grab a brush. I don't even know what my brush is right now. I should probably look and see. Sure, I'll use this one. And then my properties I need to look at, and the stroke I want to be something a little bit lighter. I'll just go with a light gray, and then I obviously want to have a pretty decently large stroke weight. So like this is what we were kind of seeing before. Scribble, 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 scribble. And what turns out from there, that all depends on the brush that you choose. I'll hit undo. I'm going to look at a different brush. That doesn't seem really appropriate. So I might say, hey, let's go to the brush library and let's go with artistic brushes and maybe watercolor. Cool. All right, watercolor brushes. I like this one. I'm going to go with that. So this is now my new brush. So as I paint, you can see it goes burp. Oh, that's interesting. I think I'm seeing some of your paint scribbles. That's what those are. I was like, I didn't make those little lines, but those are all yours. So my brush weight is way too big. I'll take it down to a 10, but I might try to like create something that goes around the bottle a little bit, and then maybe like even outside some more over here. And the fact that it's bleeding over, like, yeah, that can be a little counterproductive, but I can definitely just slide it over. And that's the coolest part about Illustrator, is that all this stuff is, you can just keep working on it. These guys need to go, and it's good to know that they're there. I wouldn't have known that they were there if I hadn't put a background in, but already I'm creating something that is giving a moment of praise to my object. I'm thinking about, how do I create that world of foreground, background? Well, you have to give us a change in light. Everything stands out not because it has lines. So like the line is not something that exists in nature. It's our interpretation of a different contrast relationship between an object and its background. So you could ultimately create this water bottle without even giving it the outlines. Now you kind of went through and did little tiny bits and pieces along the edge, and that's okay. Here's a longer one. You know, how might you combine them over time, revisit them? So I am all about the revisit. So I'd come in and be like, well, my water bottle either got run over by a car, or I just need to give some more time in here as far as how to work with these paths. And so I'm using my direct selection tool. That looks like that's not going to work. There we go. Bam. And I'm changing, nope. I'm changing the Bezier handle curves, the locations of these things. And I'm thinking about, how do I get that contour between, I think they're called ribs on a bottle. How do I get the rib feeling going on? So I'm just now spending a little bit of time going back, revisiting this work so that it feels more like bump, bump, bump. And then I can say, oh yeah, you're way too low. I got to move you up. And this is erratic. How do I change that? I'm just going to go back in and tuck that in. So maybe you do spend 15 minutes trying to draw something, but then also you spend 5, 10, 15 minutes just reassociating your understanding of these paths so that it tidies it up and gives you exactly what you're looking for. There's something, there's that one. And it's so worth it. It is so worth it. This is what is going to get you a job. You're too low. You got to go up. When you can demonstrate an understanding of this type of refinement in your illustrative experiences and prowess, this is what clients are going to want to see. So the fact that you care and you go back and you check things, but you also understand the technical aspect of this. So like, just in a matter of a few minutes, I cleaned it up on this side. I could just go back and bang out that one and this one and give it the little ribs and curves and stuff like that. This is what I want you to be thinking about. But the contrast between the object as well. We'll move on. And I think that we could also address the same issues with this one. Also, I didn't really, self-portraits aren't part of a still life. I got a couple on this one. But if you're going to do a self-portrait or a portrait, you need to think about scale, composition. It's just floating up in the middle of nowhere. Boom that, make that stuff larger. I just made it larger, but also changed the sort of relationship between spacing of those strokes. Well, that's critical. I'd have to go back again and revisit those lines or maybe backpack it. Think about putting elements behind it. And here we are again on just a white artboard. We're not thinking about the overall world. You're just thinking about this shape. Head's a little flat. Think about maybe laying down an oval first, and that could be removed later, but it's just a template of as while you try to build that image. So, this one portrait it's lovely. You only gave me one, and I need two. This is still life, just like all the other ones. We always need two. Here, I think that you're experimenting with the brush and the brush strokes and layering and different opacities and building color on top of other color. We still are in a space where it's just on a flat white background. Keep these things in consideration. If this was a guitar that you're studying and it was at that angle, it's either leaning against something. I've never seen a guitar lean like that unless it's on a pillow or whatever. But then like bring that stuff into it. And what's the shadow doing? Where's the light source coming from? This is all really important for us to think about as we move through our interpretive process of recreating something that is in front of our eyes. And I hope that that guitar and I hope that that pair were in front of your eyes when you were drawing them. It's always in question. These are good. They're clean, tidy, still on a white background, still no real sense of where a light source or shadow might be. You are playing with opacity and layering. So, it's like, it's a cleaner version of some of those crazier ones that we were looking at earlier. I believe that we're looking at a thumb drive, but I've never seen one in this proportion before. If you draw it and you go, oh man, that is way out of proportion, just select it and change it. So like this is probably more appropriate to what the thumb drive would look like. And it just took seriously 3 seconds to select it, put it together. Maybe I don't want the text to get crushed, so I could now select the text and then like make it bigger. But these are parts of our process as illustrators. I don't know if that's a power bank or a stapler, but I don't know. You're thinking about light source. You got shadow. Not a lot of experimentation with the brush here. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of that. These are pleasant. Turn you away. A little harsh. I think that I get excited about the first one with this bag, and less excited about the second one, which I just like, I don't know. I have a hard time buying if you're actually looking at something with this. It looks just so generic. It's a flower in a pot. Everyone has a flower in a pot in their house, don't they? Can I just draw a flower in a pot? Um, no, not unless you actually have a flower in a pot. At this time of the year, well, I guess this was probably a couple weeks ago. Maybe you did. But think about the nature of curves. You know, if I go back in now and revisit this curve, I can, because that's how Illustrator works and the vector world is awesome. I either need to say, all right, it's too high on the ends or it's too low in the middle, but I'll just come back and sort of revisit this a little bit, change that, well, change this Bezier, and now I've got these stragglers, no problem, because it's just points. So I can grab those points and I can say, you're back down here. Obviously there's a bunch here I can bring down, something, oh gosh, this is gonna be tough getting them. There we go. So it's like, oh, well, maybe that is a flower pot. Maybe this did exist in life. Maybe they are actually paying attention to things, but what's it sitting on? Where's the horizon line? This is really kind of out of control background where you could give it a little more love, a little more finesse. Where's the back of the pot? It would be in shadow. You know, I feel like I repeat myself a lot, but that's my job, right? Barbells and tape. I'm not flattered by it at all. I feel like there could be more time put in this, more exploration of different brushes, also backgrounds, also, yeah, there's a horizon line, but it like, what is that barbell on? A blanket? On a bed? We rarely ever put them there. It's possible, but I would expect that this horizon line, ooh, nope, don't do that. Nope. I don't know what that was. I'm going to get rid of you just because I don't know what you are. You, oh God. And you know, like maybe it's more like this. I don't know, but it's just like floating right along the bottom and it's really wavy. I don't know. We're done with these still lifes. So what does this do for you down the road? It helps you understand to pay attention and to focus and think about good design and how that matters for objects that are in a space that you can go back and retweak and perfect to get to something that is magical. I just want you guys to make magical work. The bottle and the guitar. I think that I haven't seen a lot of guitars with a body like that, unless it's Dan Electro. They kind of experimented with some stuff like that. I don't mind the dots. It's kind of fun. It's kind of like a thing that you're working with, but still we end up with some lines that aren't really jiving with each other. The bottom, the base of this bottle that could use some refinement. I think the magic is, and the story and lesson is to just always go back and refine. Go back and refine. Go back and refine. That's the deal. Cigarettes, those are really rounded. I don't know if you're going to actually get any smoke out of those things. They look like they're pill capsules on the top. Not that there's anything wrong with the design of that, but I'm just like, are you really looking? And are you thinking about what that rim is and how to get in there and do something that would be like just giving it a little bit more of that and a little bit more of that and a little bit more of that? You know, like it doesn't take much to make us go, yep, that's a flat top instead of it's a dome, right? Um, it would obviously be darker in there. So maybe I go to my layers, new layer, and maybe I'll grab one of those things and kind of say, you know, there's some shadow back here. You know, just trying to really identify spatial relationships with light, shadow, and the object. I think your shadow is great without the lines. So this is one of those things where I'd probably go back and say, oh, I'm never going to get it. Is that a Spice Girl song? Is that it? There it is. Bam. I'd get rid of the lines. I don't think you need them. In fact, I would love to see it if you could do all of this without these lines. Oh, there's two of them. You know, what would you do if you weren't dependent on those lines? You would work on the background. So I'd come back to the background and get my brush tool, maybe a darker, come here, you, and work on identifying the difference between what my background might be. You can do all kinds of fun stuff. I'm just staying on the same brush, but I would take a little more time and try to explore different stroke weights, different opacities, maybe even color, a different spatter or something like that for the brush. But you can do it without the line. And that's one of those things that in any class where you were trying to learn about illustration, even if you're just working with charcoal, pencil, ink, like your teachers are always gonna say like lines don't exist. It's a difference between an association of space, light, and shading. The wallet. I love this one. This is great. You still got lines in there, but they're working. I think that this is your stronger one. It's really great. It'd be fun to see what would happen if you just brought in a little touch of color. I don't know what that would be. The hat is the magical artboard here. Really great use of a soft approach to layering and opacities. That's really great. I love the pineapple, but I really love the tree. You found the spatter brush somewhere in there, that artistic brush, and nailed what the approach to a leaf spatter would look like. And there's different colors, different layering. I think it really kind of captures the essence, but I still say background is just white. Like that doesn't exist. Just do something. Everyone, always do something. Make the background go away. Give me a slight value. It just isn't the default white. You do have a couple splatters on the top that are exceeding the boundary of the artboard. I think that's something to consider, bringing back down. So like, if it's that point, no, it's not. Where are you? Is it this one? Nope. I don't know. I don't know how you did this. So there it comes. Yeah, just bring it back in. Think about comfort, safety zones, and definitely a background. And then we're back to here. Great, we did it all. I think that was really helpful. And keep all that in mind as we move forward. Obviously, we're not doing still life work anymore. You might not ever touch a brush. I have a feeling you will. It'll be a part of something that you do at some aspect. It might be part of your logo. Could be little backgrounds for text things that you do for some print work or whatever. So it's really good to explore, understand the brush, and also keep in mind just what spatial relationships are like and our need for something that isn't just put on a white background all the time, including these. All right, thanks everybody, and we'll see you soon. I can't get out of this. Here we go.